Welcome. You're listening to the Keeping Ashland Healthy podcast, a podcast production of the Mental Health and Recovery Board of Ashland County, Ohio. Thanks for joining us. And welcome back into the studio here at the Mental Health and Recovery Board of Ashland County.
Yes.
In the studio with me is the one, the only Dr. Ashley Ackerman. How are you doing this morning, Dr.
I'm doing
Ashley?
great. How are you, boss?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
This is an important day for me.
Yes, it's your birthday.
This is. We are podcasting on my birthday. I won't tell the audience, how old I am.
You're going to say it's your birthday without disclosing that information?
Correct. That is correct.
I've been trying to figure this out, but I really don't know.
It's best that we keep it a secret. Let's just say,
46.
Dr. Ashley, that, yes, we'll just say somewhere in the 40s. That's small lie, but it is. It's an exciting day.
Yes.
But one of the nice things about my birthday being in early July is it was always in the summer.
Yeah, that's great.
And school was out, and there was so much potential in the summer when I was a youngster. Me and my friends got up to hijinks, Dr. Ashley.
What's that?
That's just trouble. That was just what we called it. Because I'm old, that was a word we used.
Hijinks.
Hijinks. Yep.
That's a new one to me.
Oh, yeah. Hijinks is what we got up to in the summer. But we wanted to talk this episode to some of the families out there, grandparents, parents that maybe have some things they have in mind to do with their sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters. But the summertime, is for some folks distressing, anxiety provoking because you take the structure that the school gives throughout the school year, sports, etc., and then you get into the summer months, and not all families think through exactly how we're going to manage that time.
Right. It's a big change. Even for me, I'm a mom. I have a 10-year-old son named Brennan. And it's a big change when you go from having that structure every day to just they're at home or they're with someone every day. And their time's not filled. So
exactly.
It can be a big change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our hope is, for the audience, that we want to talk about some of the benefits of playing with children and how to structure that time through play, because there's that's something that maybe I think has evolved over the years in how kids play. Certainly from my day to your day, probably to right now, things have changed. But we also want to be practical and give some ideas just to help those parents, grandparents out there, maybe give them some ideas what they can do at home. But then we also have a list of some of the things that are available in Ashland County, and maybe that'll be helpful to give them additional options. Yeah,
I think you're right in saying that how kids change how kids play has changed over time.
Yeah.
I think that's true. But the fact that kids need their parents or adults to play with them has not changed. That's remained consistent through the years, right? It's an important part of development.
Yeah, and we should say at the outset, we're talking about both types of play. So we might be focusing on the benefits of playing with your children, but there is certainly ongoing benefits of kids playing just kids with kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yep.
So some of the benefits of playing with your children, we'll go through some of those first.
Okay.
It builds strong relationships and opens the door to sharing problems.
And concerns,
And concerns.
So this is interesting to me because, in therapy, sometimes we've talked about this before, where we would engage with play therapy, if you will, or doing something else, and then some of the discussions or things that might be bothering the person comes up while you're doing something else, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think as we talk about, as you're playing or maybe doing something else, all of a sudden conversations just naturally emerge that wouldn't if you said, "Hey, Johnny, what's going on?"
Yeah, it's really interesting when you play with kids. Sometimes they play out things that are happening in their life in like a symbolic way with their toys.
Yep.
It's a good way for them to process those things. It also promotes creativity and good motor skills.
Yeah.
Teaches patience and problem-solving skills. And a lot of that, I think, comes from modeling. The parent is modeling that in play with children. If you've ever played like a board game with a kid who's new at playing games, you know how that goes.
Yes. No.
Stressful.
And again, this is not, I don't say this to put any pressure on you, parents, grandparents, or whoever is engaged with play with your children and grandchildren, but they're watching you. As Dr. Ashley says, I think that's important to recognize that you are a model for how to negotiate to the young people. So, yes, don't be surprised if you flip over the checkerboard or get upset and throw down your chess pieces, that they might imitate that. So.
Yeah, and they can test your patience, but it's important that you're modeling that for them.
Great. Good point.
Yeah. Develops trust and self-esteem. Boosts joy and confidence because it's fun, right? It's a good time.
Well, that is the hope.
Yeah, hopefully. It can. I think it can go south, but, encourages learning, teaches communication.
Yeah.
And outdoor play specifically supports good physical and mental health.
Thank you for saying outdoor. So if we didn't hit this earlier, we were talking about both types. I think there's a place for indoor play and certainly a place for outdoor play. So we are certainly talking about both types.
Yeah. And I think there are benefits to both.
Absolutely. So. And as you say, the outdoor play, there's more of an opportunity for that physical and mental health. And again, we're talking about developing, depending on the age of your, child or grandchild, they're still figuring out how to live within their body, and they're still developing coordination and balance and agility. And a lot of that just comes from practice and doing it. And play can be that natural place where they can get better at those things.
Yeah, and it's really cool as the parent, from your perspective, to be able to see them learn and grow and develop in that way, and to be able to teach them that.
And one of the things that I know, because I played various sports when I was younger, and oftentimes our parents are our first coaches, if you will.
Yeah.
So as we're learning things, so keep that in mind. Again, mom, dad, grandma, granddad, that you want to be a good first coach, and hopefully when or if your young ones are in sports, that you find a coach that is similar in style and temperament than you are, because there are bad coaches out there. Yes. And I've seen young people with really good abilities and an initial desire to play a sport have that really shot down, and they get dispirited and don't even want to play the sport because the coaching style is so radically different from what they were used to, maybe with mom and dad who was helping them early on, or a good coach. So that's important. I don't know if parents always, I'm not saying interview the coach, but at least have some idea what style this coach has, to see if that's going to fit given your son or daughter, grandson, granddaughter, who and how you've been engaging with them. And I just think that's an important, because what I hate to see is somebody who really enjoys a particular sport and is actually good at it, then all of a sudden doesn't want to do it anymore.
Oh, that's sad.
And it's not because of their ability, and it's not because they weren't interested. It's because the way the coach or coaches are interacting it's just not a bad. It's just a bad fit. Yeah, that's a really good point. As you mentioned, David, having your children play with other kids, also very important. Yes.
Social skills are developing when kids are younger, and that's critical.
And we're talking about, again, I don't want the Z generation to attack me here, but we are actually talking about IRL.
IRL. I didn't know you knew that one.
No, see, I'm trying, even though I'm super old. So this is real live play we're talking about, kids. So, this is not screen time. There might be a place for that, but this is actually playing with your neighborhood kids in person, and maybe other adults in person.
Yes, that's great. And through that play, you can learn coping skills and build resilience, which I know we've talked a lot about that recently, resilience.
Yes. So there's an expression I want to throw out to the audience that it used to be very common, but it's getting less common in this. There's an overemphasis on sometimes called safetyism, where we're bubble wrapping the kids, and or maybe we're overreacting to some things. But controlled risk taking, testing limits. Young people need an opportunity to do that. Again, I'm not saying go crazy with that. I am certainly not calling for abuse, but it is okay for youngsters to take some risk to learn about what they can and cannot do, or the consequences. If we never test our limits, we never really discover what those limits are. And I think there are real long-lasting practical benefits of testing limits like building confidence, improving your judgment, and again, just learning basic risk management, what to do, what not to do, what I can do, what I can't do kind of thing.
Yeah,
So.
I think if you never fail, you never grow.
Yep.
And if you never face a challenge, you never learn that you can overcome challenges.
That's right.
So then when something tough happens and you've not developed that resilience, I think that's a tough spot to be in.
Yep.
So we want our kids to be resilient and to help them hone that. Yeah.
Yep. So those are just some. I mean, Dr. and Ashley and I don't want to spend, we could spend more time on this, but we wanted to at least give you a big picture of why, playing with your kids. There's so many, and there's more benefits than what we talked about, but there's a lot of benefits to play. Even something that looks like it's a lot of fun, and it is, it has other values to it, and it certainly can help with growth and development.
And for parents and grandparents, we have busy lives, right?
Yep.
And sometimes it takes just a little more like intentionality to build time into play. We have a lot of things going on, but if you can just dedicate a little bit of time to that, it can make a big difference.
All right, so Dr. Ashley and I are trying to help with that because you are so busy. Mom, Dad, Grandma, Grandpa. Here's some ideas. Now, some of these you might find to be silly, but the idea here is that as we read some of these off, it might get, if you don't think it's a good idea and good fit, you'll think of maybe something else. It'll help trigger maybe some thinking. But these are all just possibilities that we thought that were really relatively low cost, and it could be done easily at home with the kids.
Yes. So maybe you fly a kite.
Yeah.
Or do a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
You could make Play-Doh. That's always really fun.
Well, wait a minute now. You're going too fast. Flying a kite. This was, people used to say, Dr. Ashley, go fly a kite.
That doesn't sound very positive.
No. So we mean it in the right way. So flying a kite actually for fun. And I'll tell you, this is a great story. This tells you how great a parent my father was. We would go out kite flying, and we would get the kite way, and we'd all the way to the end of our string. And then you know what you do when you're done then? You're supposed to reel it back in.
Yeah.
But my father taught me, he just cut it loose at that point because we didn't want to spend the time to reel it back in. So I lost quite a few kites. I never did the second half of that, which is to actually retrieve your kite.
That's interesting. Yeah. I just realized I've not done that with my son yet.
Oh.
We haven't done that. And I think maybe I had a negative experience with kite flying when I was younger because to me, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound very fun. Yeah. But maybe some people really love it. I have to try it again as an adult.
Well, I live in the Worcester area, as you know, and there is a large field, Kinney Field.
Okay.
It is a kite flying hotspot.
Really?
Just because of how much wind is. So yes,
maybe we'll do that.
If you do want to fly a kite, I would think Freer Field is very similar here in Ashland. Yeah. Go to one of these big open fields because you don't want to be close to any power lines.
Okay.
Take it from me. I'm an expert.
Pro tip.
Yep. Pro tip. Don't fly a kite near high power lines. So big open spaces like that are great. So yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, we'll have to try that.
Treasure hunts, Play-Doh. Don't eat the Play-Doh. I ate it.
You turned out all right.
Yeah, but you can if you want. It's a little salty.
Okay. At least not dangerous. Take a nature walk. I love that one. We do that a lot.
Yep.
Walking
we have
in
got and again, for folks, the audience knows this, but I'm never going to tire of saying it. Ashland County has a robust, for the size of this county, Mr. DeSanto and others have really curated a county park system that rivals counties quadruple our size. So
I agree.
Take advantage of the park system in Ashland County.
Yeah, and follow them on Facebook because I've been seeing a lot of posts about the parks and things you can be doing in the summer. So I definitely recommend their Facebook page. Playing catch.
Yes.
That's fun.
Eye-hand coordination.
Yeah.
Again, some of these things, you don't realize you're doing more things at the same time. You're having fun playing catch, but that eye-hand coordination is critical, especially if your son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter wants to play sports. So you can develop that quite easily by playing catch. And who could forget Field of Dreams?
Yes.
Dr. Ashley is
Kevin
looking
Costner.
at... Yes.
I know the movie.
Yeah.
I don't remember
and
much
one
about
of Kevin Costner's fondest and desires was to go back in time and just, as he said, have a catch with his dad.
Aww,
so
that's sweet.
believe it or not, those kinds of moments can really have lifelong
Yeah.
implications because as we're talking, you bond with your son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, doing some of the things that we're talking about. It's not just playing catch sometimes.
Yeah.
It's deepening or building a relationship. It's cementing the fact to your son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter that this is a trusted person who loves and cares about me and I can go to for the rest of my life. So again, not to put pressure on you, mom, dad, but you're doing more than you might think you're doing when you do some of these basic, simple things.
Yeah, in the long run, those things are the things that kids remember.
That's right.
Right, for
That is
important
right.
reasons. So maybe you make a bird feeder.
I've
if
never
you're
done
skilled.
that one. No, yeah, I
I've
don't know how to
painted
do
bird
that.
feeders, but I don't know how to make one. That's above my skill level. Bird watching.
Don't have the patience, but yep.
Sounds fun. Ride bikes.
Oh, riding bikes. So this is a great one. Great story on this one.
Oh.
There are things called training wheels.
Yes.
Yes. Some people had training wheels. I had training wheels until my father said, enough with the training wheels, David.
Yeah.
You're going to ride that bike without training wheels. I said, no, Dad, I'm not ready, to ride the bike without the training wheels.
Yeah.
He said, yes, you are. So he walked beside me without the training wheels, and I was on the bike, and before I knew it, he was jogging beside me, and then he was running beside me, and he launched me. And off I went, Dr. Ashley, with no training wheels, full of terror.
Full of terror.
I crashed, but prior
no.
to crashing, I did start to understand the balance that's required to ride a bike.
Yeah.
And after I picked myself up, cried a little, and small tears. I was able to get back on and ride that bike. So that is, again, not an endorsement for my father's parenting style, but it is something to think about. There's a progression from, training wheels to without training wheels, but there could be some skid knees involved, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a helmet's okay. We didn't have helmets when I probably could have used a helmet. So.
Right. Yeah. My bike riding experience, my first one, was similar, and I did have some skin knees. So,
but that's okay. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. Do arts and crafts is another idea.
Yeah.
Do a puzzle.
Love puzzles. Love them. I think this transcends all different age groups. There's different pieces. You can start with as little as 50 pieces, 75 pieces, up to thousands of pieces.
I think it's great when people love them. I'm not a puzzle fan, but like my son, he also likes like Legos, which is similar to doing puzzles. He'll sit and do that for hours.
Well, take it from me. Mom and I puzzle during the winter months when we can't get out as much. As you're puzzling, you're having conversations, you're listening to music, you might even be eating some good appetizers. But it really is conducive to conversation.
Yeah.
So with your son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, I think folks might be surprised how much of a conversation starter a puzzle is.
Maybe I'll have to give it a go again.
Try, Dr. Ashley.
I'll try. Make cookies or pizza.
Any kind of cooking together.
Yeah.
Not only is it practical, but again, you're talking. Hopefully not yelling. You're talking. You're explaining maybe weights and measures. What ingredients, why, steps in a recipe. Because when I took my organic chemistry class, and I was in the lab, I found that getting through that course was very much like making chocolate chip cookies in the fact that, the only thing that changed was the ingredients, Dr. Ashley.
Yeah.
I was still combining chemicals and things in certain amounts and for certain amounts of times, applying heat, et cetera. So, I didn't realize how much of science was involved with just following a recipe.
That's a good one. And then also, kids learn kind of an appreciation for where their food comes from by cooking, too. Like, when they realize how much work goes into just, that little cookie.
No, that's a great point.
Helpful. Reading together. You and I both have a history of that, and that was an impact in our childhood, right?
Yeah, and I tell you, we've got that bookcase project here in town that I know has been supported for years with our local woodworkers at the church. But I tell parents this all the time, grandparents all the time. If you're going to do one thing, please read. With your. It builds so many skills. It's fun. But, I had a mom who started reading me. I had teachers for second, third grade that read to us as a class. Instilling that love of reading helped me out, I think, academically, but just as a hobby, something to do in my spare time. It's been wonderful. So I really encourage, find those books that, make sense for the age level and maybe reflect the values of your household. But I think reading together, there's really no substitute for that. It will instill a love and a desire as your grandchild grows up into adulthood.
Absolutely. The same happened for me. So. And then have a picnic.
Yep, some planned kinds of activities. Again, there's a lot, as you can tell, a lot of these things don't just happen. So you want to involve the son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter in the planning of the picnic, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that you do everything and say, hey, come on, let's go. Try to involve them in the steps because, again, things don't just magically happen, right?
Yeah.
they take effort and time and planning, et cetera.
Yeah. Yes. And then planting seeds or planting a garden.
That is becoming more and more popular. More and more folks, maybe it's just the price of food going up, but
That could be.
I think having either a community garden or your own personal garden.
Yeah.
I've seen more and more of that, or just flowers in general as well as a garden. Now, a few things that aren't on this list that I noticed were missing.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Dr. Ashley, that I know were helpful for me.
Yeah.
So maybe some drinking from the hose.
Yeah.
We did that, and it tasted a little bit metallic.
A little funky.
Yep, but I thought that was a good learning lesson.
Yeah.
Eating dirt. We ate some dirt.
You suggest that?
Maybe just a
Builds
little.
the immunity.
Yeah, that was helpful. And then maybe seeing if poison ivy really does affect you. They say it does, but maybe rub a little of that on.
Oh, my son was doing that a couple weeks ago.
See,
actually,
right? These are
The irony.
testing limits. They say it's bad, but really, is it?
Is it though?
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
I just noticed the list was missing a few. I thought I'd just add
those are some good ones. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for adding that in there. Our listeners are going to appreciate that. Things that you can do in Ashland.
Okay.
So those are things that you can do at home.
Yep.
But these are things you can do in the community that are happening this summer.
All righty.
So,
let's go through a few of these.
Brookside Park here in Ashland. They have a play area and a pool. You can play mini golf, basketball. Yeah. The band shell is there, which I've heard of. I haven't been to that yet.
Oh, no, I have. It's really nice.
Have you?
Yep, very nice performances there. Yep.
Cool. You could go biking, like we just mentioned, shuffleboard.
Yep.
Wow. And they have ice cream there, too?
They do. It's right there. I mean, it's a very popular place. The pool, our mayor has done a lot to promote the pool there at Brookside, and they have several events, but a lot of options at Brookside Park.
Sounds nice. Also, the Croc Center is a big one. They have a spray park.
Boy, do they.
Yeah.
This is, you don't find spray parks like this in towns of Ashland County size, but the Croc Center and Salvation Army, they've always been cutting edge on what they're offering in terms of services and supports. And their spray park is second to none. And there's more than just a spray park there, as you know.
They have a little lazy river, too, I
yep.
heard. I didn't know that you could go roller skating. And they have laser tag there.
Yep, cages,
batting cages.
Yep.
I didn't know all of that. That's really cool.
Yeah, check out the Croc Center if you don't know about that. But plenty of opportunity, both inside and outside.
Yes. So also the Ashland and Loudonville Public Libraries. They have summer reading programs.
Yep.
And all of that information is on their websites. But they actually have a ton of events going on, too, at the libraries this summer.
Right. So, as we're talking about some of these opportunities, keep in mind, there are these organizations and agencies, they understand the dilemma of the summer months as well. They understand that young people are outside of the school environment, so they're trying to help with some of these structured activities to help fill in as you need them. So yes, please don't hesitate to contact Ashland and Loudonville libraries for their summer reading programs and schedules.
I'm amazed with all the stuff they have going on over there. Also, the Ashland Theater.
Yes, let's not forget about our Ashland Theater that has been brought back to life. I mean, it's the local news has done several stories about that, as well they should, because it's really a destination location now. It's been all refurbished. So yes, real close to downtown. Folks can go to the theater. They try to have a lot of kid and family friendly shows. I think they do a great job of rotating the schedule, so there's something for everybody there.
Yeah, I have great memories of going to the movies with my grandparents, and still am a movie lover, so I think that's awesome. Also, the Ashland County Fairgrounds.
Yep.
They have horse shows and motorcycle races.
Yep.
And the fair, of course.
Yeah, we'll be talking about the fair as we get closer to September, but there are things scheduled throughout the summer at the fairgrounds, so you want to check that out.
Another one, David. This has been really exploding lately. Pickleball.
Yes, Ashland County in particular. We've been cutting edge, I think, leading the pack on pickleball.
That's a big thing right now.
Very big.
I saw Worcester just got pickleball courts, too.
Yep. Ashland just redid their courts a while ago. We've got some wonderful courts.
That's awesome. Yeah, so at Congrove Park, which is 813 Clark Avenue, that is where the pickleball courts are.
Okay. Yeah, we've got more than that, I think, around town. So some of the more pickleball experts will know where all the courts are at. But we've got several here in town, but they are popular.
Yeah. Brookside West has fishing.
Yep.
You can take your kids fishing there. Mohican State Park, there's a whole lot to do there at Mohican. Camping, hiking, stuff on the river.
Yeah, canoeing, kayaking, again, age appropriate. I always tell folks, if you don't want to be too physically active, you can just get a tube and literally float. Yeah, so that's pretty low bar in terms of physical activity.
But it's very relaxing, and you're connecting with nature. You can hook your tube to someone else and tube. It's a
really that's a dual tubing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a pod. You can get a pod.
A pod.
It's really fun.
Holy mackerel. It could be social. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Also, Malabar State Farm is nearby.
Sure.
Go visit that. YMCA has a ton of programs in the summer for kids. One of our personal favorites here, Grandpa's Cheese Barn.
Yeah, it is a destination. Let me tell you, people are getting off 71 all the time to go to Grandpa's Cheese Barn. They got all manner of treats and ice creams.
Cheese and fudge. And,
you name it.
Yeah. And then you could also go bowling at the Luray Lanes in Ashland County.
Do you know our Ashland boys were like national champs in bowling?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Luray is... Again, right off of East Main there, easy to find. Bowling is, again, it's team-oriented.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great conversation. You get to make fun of people when they do a gutter ball. But you can build each other up. And...
See, pro tip, if your kid's young enough, you can have bumper lanes.
I see that.
That helps. No gutter balls.
No gutter balls, right? Well, again, Dr. Ashley, we just wanted to spend a little bit of time trying to help our parents, our grandparents with some things to do this summer. And, there really is a scientific justification for play. And we want to encourage them to do it, not just for that reason, but understand that by playing, they really are doing more than just play.
And hopefully this sparked some ideas of things you might do. So.
Well, I know a lot of folks, are driving or listening to us while they're doing other things. So all this information is available at the Mental Health and Recovery Board's website, which is www.ashlandmhrb.org, and that's .org. So, for folks that want this information, they can easily click on it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for listening.
Yes, this has been another Dr. Ashley and the Boss episode. We will see you next time. Goodbye, Dr. Ashley.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Keeping Ashland Healthy podcast. The podcast is a production of the Mental Health and Recovery Board of Ashland County, Ohio. You can reach the board by calling 419-281-3139. Please remember that the board funds a local 24/7 crisis line through Appleseed Community Mental Health Center. It can be reached by calling 419-289-6111. That's 419-289-6111. Until next time, please join us in Keeping Ashland Healthy.